right, here on the KC Futures Trader channel, we're talking about the daily range, the 1 hour PD raise, 15-minute, 5-minute breakers, and the time of day. This is our top-down preparation. Start every day like this. And today is Thursday. So what that means is that we start looking at the weekly template. We really start to refine whether or not that weekly template is going to play a role. So right now we're looking at a Monday trend, potentially Thursday high of week. With CPI news starting at 8:30, we're above the new week opening gap. I risk nothing, gain nothing, because I'm watching this whole week. We did take out yesterday's PM session liquidity with the CPI number takeout, which is displacement lower. And although I have a higher time frame bullish bias, I may be looking for a short. There is a weekly fair value gap, consequent encroachment above us, so that may be the weekly draw. And risk closer sideways. So on Thursday, if the higher low is in and we've reached a weekly target, we should be expecting an afternoon reversal. Now, that didn't play out today. Let's show you what the preparation looked like. As I said, CPI provides a major retracement, and that displaces lower, leaving jagged highs. This is in NQ and breakers in premium. We've trended since Monday, and Thursday is the high of week template as a possibility, and that usually coincides with a Tuesday low of week, but we didn't get that. So I was suspicious of a Thursday high. Now it's one factor. It's not a trade idea. It's just one factor. Risk closer sideways, so we got no real ideas, nothing really tipping our hands as far as all that goes. ES looks weaker, which means NQ looks stronger. Think about that. That's going to come back up here in a second. Because CPI penetrated deeper, but both took out the PM session low, I think I'm saying, you know what? That's a small indication that we might be going lower. NQ took out the high first, again indicating why it might be stronger, and that high might be the high of the day. That might be the case. We have a gap above us that is most likely to be filled, and there's a discount, wick, and fair value gap that we closed below, and that is a small indication of lower prices early. I'll show you what all of that looked like, but let's look at the charts. What I screenshotted before the market opened, you see that ES has a lower high, NQ has a higher high, YM has a lower high. So there's an accumulation factor. Potentially, I don't use SMT divergence. I don't use that. I'm not worried about it. But all I look at that as is that NQ is stronger. And what I typically think that should mean on a daily basis is that if you are going to go against the, let's see, how do I say this? If you want to go with the move lower in this case, then you should expect a stop run in the stronger index, and you should not expect it in the weaker one. I'll come back to that. So here's what you see on the dollar in the center and gold on the right. They're just sideways. There's nothing there. We get higher highs, successive higher highs, more than 3 pushes, and it keeps going, and other indices other assets are sideways. So there's no real indication there. Now, the thing that I cared about is that you see on the hourly, we have this wick where we closed below the mean threshold or the consequent encroachment. I don't care. It doesn't matter. The middle of that. And that usually indicates lower prices, but it doesn't mean you won't go higher first. I also see this displacement. And so that means I'm expecting this to get filled in, but I am expecting that to hold. So what I saw here was 2 PD arrays here and here. This one and that one. And I expected that one to be penetrated before we took out this double bottom low that you see here after the CPI number took out the PM session low. And so let's get to the charts and see what actually happened on the hourly. And I know these are busy. That's just because that's how I prepare. What you can see is it's more easily seen. Let me just scan this over to a 5-minute. A little bit easier to see here. You see this higher breaker gets pushed through in terms of a wick, but we close inside of it, and then that's what runs us down to this relative equal low. And they also go through the sell side that I called out here, these double bottom, and also down here. Then we see an afternoon turn after taking out 1, 2, 3 session lows into a fair value gap, and then turning higher at lunchtime, afternoon afternoon turning point. Why would we expect that? Well, because the bias on the week is bullish. So we may see yet a Friday high of week and then a retracement. Now, if we funnel over to ES, what do you see? The exact same preparation. Look at it here. At the open, we run right up to that breaker and then straight down through the relative equal lows that were there as well. I mean, this is, in my mind, I wouldn't necessarily have thought of that as a relative equal low, but it's fair enough to say that it is after the fact. But these definitely are. And you can see that the PM or the AM session takes that out, attacks the breaker from yesterday in the bottom of Tuesday before turning in the afternoon session. Time is always a factor here. Time is always a factor. So when you're evaluating turning points, you're always being concerned about time, not so much the configuration. A lot of times in my trades, when I make mistakes, I'm making config mistakes, meaning I'm looking for a long or a short, and I'm purely looking based on the price action alone, price action itself. That's it. I'm not factoring the higher time frame bias. In this case, the weekly bias is bullish for sure that it is. That doesn't mean you can't go short, because obviously longs, long or bullish price action must eventually retrace of some kind, and usually it's going to take stuff out. So there's nothing wrong with going short in bullish conditions. In fact, a lot of times your biggest, fastest moves are shorts in bullish conditions and vice versa. So that said, this was a pretty standard, and I don't want to say easy, but very logical short in ES. What is the criteria that we're using? Well, let's just write it out real quick. First of all, we're in premium on the daily range, and I don't want that to paint on every single thing, so I'm just going to do this. Visibility on intervals, earn interval only. We're in premium. We have a news-based displacement, premium breaker. It's a Thursday. Could retrace. Okay. Oops. ES is weaker. NQ stronger. ES holds. NQ pushes through, but fails. And holds its high of day. Using all of that, those are reasons to get short on these moves, on this move lower. If you weren't able to get that at 10 o'clock where it pushed back up, you see that it gets below this bullish breaker here where it should have held, pushes back up into that and goes lower. There's similar configurations on NQ. One idea I'm playing with now is the idea that when there's news, you trade ES, or you just trade the weaker issue. If you want to get short, and stronger one if you want to get long. So, anyways, that's today. When I think of my model, I'm focused on 4 basic elements: the daily range to establish premium and discount, the hour PD arrays where price is likely to draw to and respect, and then the breakers that are inside of those arrays, and then I execute at time of day. I'm taking 1 or 2 trades a day, and that's it. And I only focus on the morning session, so from 9:30 to 10:30. Now tomorrow's different because there'll be PPI, so I'll be here at 8:30 to trade that. But that's it. I keep it limited. I'm not looking to babysit these charts. I'm looking to play out a model that repeats every single day. The tools are always the same. The configuration is always the same. The only difference is the order in which they appear and how you assemble the narrative. But the narrative is the key to these tools making any sense, because if you just use the tools without the narrative or a consistent ability to create that narrative, then you're shooting in the dark. And I've done that for years, and I just refuse to do it anymore. Now, I offer workshops. If you're the kind of person that is kind of close and wants to see if they can get to the next step and put it together, or if you're just starting out and you want somebody to help you build a model for you, that's something I do. Contact me. Otherwise, take care of yourself.